Ladies and gentlemen, just Chanel here. It's my pleasure to welcome you to my YouTube channel for a two-part 50-question flight attendant question and answer. Please grab a snack, remain seated, and have a pen and paper handy for notes. Feel free to use your mobile devices at this time to share this video with everybody you know, including the person seated next to you. Before moving on to part 2, make sure those post notifications are enabled for future uploads. Your satisfaction is always important to me, so if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up and leave some comments down below letting me know what other flight attendant videos you'd like to see in the near future. I invite you to subscribe for all of your future flight attendant needs, including day in the life vlogs and interview tips. On behalf of myself, thank you so much for watching. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this two-part 50-question flight attendant question and answer. Just Chanel here. Hey guys, Just Chanel here. Finally back with this flight attendant question and answer. Y'all had so many questions. Wow, okay? So I want to go ahead and just get right into it for y'all. This is a two-part video, so make sure that you are subscribed and those post notifications are turned on for part 2. I will leave the second part down in the description box as well for you all. The first part will cover about 20 questions. I'm going to answer all of your questions about how to become a flight attendant, all your questions on the application, interviews, training, basically anything you need to know before you actually get the job. Now in part 2, I'll answer all the questions as if you already kind of had the job. So we'll talk about pay, scheduling, benefits, commuting, a bunch of random questions y'all had like relationships and being a single mom and all that jazz. So let's go ahead and get into it. I hope y'all like this video because I'm really about to give you the tea, okay? I'm about to just lay it all out there for you. Please keep in mind that all of my opinions, because I'm gonna have a lot of opinions as I answer these questions, are my own. I also want to throw out there that I know you guys know that I work for a particular airline, but I'm going to answer these questions as if I worked for any airline, and that's just because, you know, a lot of people are not interested in working for my airline. Some people won't get the job with my airline, and if you want to be a flight attendant, I feel like flight attendant life is cool just regardless of what airline you work for. You know, I have friends at other airlines and it's totally cool. Like, there's no beef. So, I mean, you know, we are who we are, but it's cool or whatever. I can fly on you for free too, so we friends. Okay, but let's get into these questions. So y'all know I got my notebook because I did not want to get off topic and I got all y'all questions for real. Front and back here. Okay, so let's get into question 1. Question 1, how do I become a flight attendant? This is the most frequently asked question, hands down. And it's a one-word answer for me because it just is apply. That's all I got. The only way you can become a flight attendant is by applying to become a flight attendant. That's how you do it. There's no special method of becoming a flight attendant. It's a job. It's just like any other career. You just happen to fly for free, which is pretty cool. But you have to apply. Any job that you want, you have to go on the company's website, their career site, and fill out the application, because if you don't, they don't even know that you exist. So please, if you want to become a flight attendant, apply, apply, apply. Of course, my air conditioning will cut on right now. I'm gonna go turn off the air. It's already cold in here. Question 2, when will my airline start hiring? I got this question a lot because I know a lot of you are interested in working for my company, but I don't know, to be honest, to answer the question. I have no idea. They do usually send us like something to say, hey, we're gonna start hiring like tomorrow. They don't give us like a super advanced notice, so I have no idea when we're gonna start hiring. But what I will say is make sure you just check the career site if this is something that you really want to do. As soon as the applications are available, they will be there. So if the application is not on the website, it's because no one's applying. Yeah, I really have no idea, honestly. Question 3, how old do you have to be become a flight attendant? So as far as I know, you have to be 21 to become a flight attendant. Now, there may be some smaller airlines that allow you to become a flight attendant at a younger age, but I definitely say do your research. If you are under the age of 21, I think if you're 20, you can actually apply, but by the time, I want to say either you start training or you actually start flying, you have to be 21. Question 4, what should I major in college to become a flight attendant? I think that this is a great question. Like, this is a question that I get a few times, and it usually comes from somebody that like just graduated high school or is like a junior in college, and they decided that what they're studying now, they just kind of don't want to do anymore, but they want to become a flight attendant and finish their degree. So being a flight attendant is, I think that flight attendants are just everything. Like, we are every career in the sky, because up in the air, you don't really have anybody but you and your crew. There's no calling 911. Like, you can call 911, but no one's gonna come get you from there. You have to land to get help. So honestly, I think you can major in anything and become a flight attendant. I definitely recommend the healthcare field, because I mean, you'll have something nice to fall back on. Healthcare will always be around, and I mean, you can definitely use your skills in the air. I think education is a great field. I wouldn't say that you would use education while you're like in the air, but you know, I don't know. The children are the future. What's another one? I know lawyers that are flight attendants, like legit. I just flew with a girl 2 days ago, and she is a whole lawyer, like a whole lawyer. I was like, okay, girl. You can major in anything, because it'll give you something to fall back on if maybe you just get sick of flying. It does take a toll on your body. So having something that you actually enjoy to fall back on, I think it's a great idea. And if you just really have no idea what you like, I would say stick with like hospitality or communications, because that is really what you're doing on the plane. Those skills will help you once you become a flight attendant. Question 5 is, should I take a flight attendant class or course before applying? No, don't do that. I know a lot of aviation companies offer like flight attendant crash courses, or I don't know, you know, just like these basic flight attendant classes, but do not spend your hard-earned coins on that, because when you get hired, your airline is going to provide you with all the resources to become the flight attendant they want you to be. So I definitely believe that the majority of airlines like people they can mold and really like align with their brand, instead of grabbing people that have all this fake experience just because like what you may learn in a flight attendant course is probably not how that particular airline does things. The only things that you will definitely learn that'll stay the same are like federal regulations when it comes to flight attendants. But I just wouldn't spend your money, because those things can get really expensive. Question 6, what does the interview process look like? What is the detailed hiring process? Okay, so just to keep it really simple, once you apply to become a flight attendant, you will go through a series of interviews. Generally, you will have a phone interview, a video interview, and a face-to-face interview. This can change depending on the airline. You may have one less interview. Sometimes airlines will take the phone interview out of it, but most of the times that's like what everyone does. They want to make sure that you really are who you say you are, and they don't want to waste time like interviewing face-to-face with hundreds of thousands of candidates when they can just, you know, have you sit at the house and do a little phone interview or video interview. So question number 7, what qualities and skills do I need to become a flight attendant? Customer service is big, okay, because you are the face of the company. Regardless of what airline you work for, everyone looks at the flight attendants like they're just, you know, we're just supposed to be the smiley. We're just supposed to be smiley. Pop the Diet Cokes real quick and give you a nice pack of cookies. You know, they want to see us. So the customer service side is big. Now, of course, as far as skills, the primary responsibility of a flight attendant is safety. So we're primarily there for the passenger's safety. Any qualities or skills that you think align with safety, that's it right there. That's it. I will say a lot of people were asking questions that I kind of feel like y'all were like trying to get straight up interview answers, like, you know, and I'm not going to provide that. I will never provide that on my channel. I have videos on, you know, what the interview is like, but I'm never going to answer an interview question, because I can't answer the question how you would answer the question. And I don't want you taking my answer and going over to your airline and being this false prophet, okay? Dang, why I have to bring the Lord into it? Okay, anyway, question number 8. Oh, this is a good one. This is like one of my favorite questions. How long does the flight attendant process take? It's different for everybody, guys. I get this question a lot. I really thought it wasn't gonna take that long when I first applied, because I was like, I'm popping. You know, they want me, they want your girl. But no, let me tell you my personal experience. I've said this in a lot of other videos, but it took me about 9 or 10 months to become a flight attendant. So I applied in like June or July. I had my video interview in September, and I didn't even get word that I had a video interview until maybe like a week before the actual interview. So you see how that's a gap. I pretty much spent like all of July and August just like, okay, like maybe I'm not popping. Okay, yeah, so September I had a video interview. In November, I got the invitation to do my face-to-face interview, and I literally got that invitation, and I want to say like 3 days later was the interview. Now, from that point, I didn't hear anything until March. Like, I heard absolutely nothing. When all of a sudden in March, I got an email like, hey, we want you to come in for a background check. And I was like, oh, wait, I did apply for this job, huh? In April is when I started training. So it was still about a month to a month and a half from the time I got my CJO, which is a conditional job offer, to the day I started training. So during that time, I was actually real confused because I'm like, well, am I hired? Like, did they forget about me? Like, I know training is going on now, but like, did they change their mind? But anyway, it could take a long time. I actually have talked to people though where it only took like 2 or 3 months for them to do all of that. On to the next question, number 9. What stood out about my airline? Now, this is one of those questions that I feel like y'all are trying to get it. Y'all are trying to see like, what should I say? What I will say is I applied to 3 different airlines actually. And I went with my airline because, okay, to be real with y'all, the first reason I went with my airline, like before even researching my actual airline, I was like, oh yeah, I definitely want to work for them because they're based in Atlanta. That was like, I just knew I didn't want to move. I was like, you know, I got my mans or whatever, and I don't want to move. So this will work for me more. Like, I got hired at some other airlines, and once I noticed that there was no way I would ever be based in Atlanta, I was like, oh yeah, I don't think that's gonna be an option. But then once I said, okay, yeah, this is the company I really want to work for, I started researching the brand, and the brand aligned with my brand. So I think that is extremely important. Research the companies and figure out what works for you. I also like to work for people that are unproblematic. Like, I'm just gonna leave it there. What else stood out about my airline? Okay, so other than the brand and the bases, the schedule was a huge thing, because airlines and scheduling, it's completely different. Like, depending on the airline, it's crazy. So when I found out how the schedule is with my company, I was like, oh yeah, okay, because I'm a real like structured person, and I can't be just floating around, not know what I'm doing. So the schedule was something that like drew me in. But definitely the brand overall is what sold me. And then the base, it was just like, oh yeah, this is it. This is it. Okay. All right, question number 10. How many attempts did it take me to become a flight attendant? It only took me 1 attempt. I did not apply several times. I know a lot of people apply several times and they get, what are they called? Thanks, but no thanks, TBNT. Wait, thanks, but no thanks, TBNT. Yeah, I recommend if you've ever gotten one of those, apply again. Like, seriously, figure out what maybe you didn't do the first time that you could do this time, because they're looking for people. Just because they didn't want you 1 year does not mean that they don't want you again. I actually had somebody in my training class that had applied 3 or 4 times and got hired. And I mean, look, I don't know why they didn't hire her in the beginning, but when I tell you baby girl is an all-star flight attendant, okay? she's so sweet and she's cute. And I'm just like, yes, girl. But anyway, yeah, definitely apply again if that has happened to you. Don't be discouraged, and don't think that just because you've never applied that you're not going to get the job the first time, because all the flight attendants that I know personally, they've only applied one time. Question number 11. Is it best to work for a regional prior to mainline? So regional airlines are like the smaller airlines generally that partner with larger airlines. I don't really think it's necessary to work for a regional before a mainline. If you definitely want to work for a mainline, I would say just apply to the mainline and see if you get the job. This is one of those things where you can skip the stepping stones. Now, if you're already a regional flight attendant, I mean, that's freaking awesome. You already know what to do. You have like that foundation. So yeah, apply to mainline and just come on over, girl. Come on over. Or guy. I say girl a lot, but I really mean everybody. Question 12. How can I find interview questions? I don't know. The interview questions, y'all, they really do change every single year. As far as I'm concerned, there's no way to find the exact interview questions that you will have. And sometimes they'll do interviews in like September, October, and by the time December comes, the interview questions are completely different. So I would recommend just Googling flight attendant interview questions, seeing what pops up, and knowing the answers to all those questions. If you've been following my flight attendant journey from the time I applied, became a flight attendant, all that, I had a notebook like this, full of interview questions that I found online. And I answered every single one of those questions in the notebook, and I had no idea what they were gonna ask me at the interview. What I do know is they asked me about, I won't give y'all the number, but the questions they did ask me were definitely in my notebook. Glassdoor.com, I'm pretty sure it's .com, is where I got basically all of the questions that I had in my notebook. I will leave the video down below where I discuss like interview questions and just kind of how I prepared for my interview, because I think that'll be really beneficial. Number 14, what happens if I don't live in the city for my interview? Good question. If you're interviewing to become a flight attendant, the airline will provide you with a flight. I mean, come on, they get free flights anyway. They're not just gonna say buy a $700 ticket. They want you, girl. Okay, so they will make sure that you get to whatever city they're holding the interviews in. The face-to-face interview will not take a full day. So I'm pretty sure you won't even need accommodations. If you do, that I have no idea how it works. Like if you're maybe coming from the West Coast, you know what? Actually, I feel like they will give you a hotel, because if your interview is at like 7 o'clock in the morning, there is no flight that's going to get you there by 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure they will provide you with a hotel, but all that information will be discussed once you actually get the invitations for the interviews. Question 15, we're moving on to training. How long is training? So this depends on the airline. From my understanding, there are airlines that have 4-week training. There are airlines that have 8-week training. So basically in between that range, 4 to 8 weeks, and it just depends on the airline. I'm pretty sure I went to training for 8 weeks. It was like 7.5 weeks. Really 8 weeks, because graduation like finished off the rest of that week. But I know that things are always changing, so I'm not sure if it's like that. I almost want to say training 7 weeks now. I feel like a new hire told me that. But you guys will see, I guess, once you get there. Question 16, is training paid? This depends on the airline as well. My training was paid. I'm not sure what other airlines do. 17, do you stay in dorms or a hotel for training? This also depends on the airline. Training is just one of those things. I don't have a lot of information about training for other airlines. I can tell you guys what I did. I live in the city where I actually attended training, so I stayed at home, for just being real. But I know that's not what y'all asked. So my particular class stayed in dorms. I do know other classes stayed in hotels. I just feel like it depends on how many dorms are available, what hotels your airline works with for training, because if you're there for 4 to 8 weeks, that's like a extended stay. Now, question 18, what's the best way to prepare for training? My number one tip when it comes to training is to save money before you go to training. If you are interested in becoming a flight attendant now and you just think you are bomb.com like I did, and I was like, I got this in the bag because I done done all my research, I done watched every YouTube video there is, then to start saving money. That is what I can say, because a lot of people will take a pay cut with this job. Let me just put that out there. I'll talk about pay in depth in part 2. But you may take a pay cut. I know I did, and I was like, ooh, child, I'm broke. So save money, yo. Like, even if training is paid, start saving. I mean, you should be saving anyway, but literally, like, you need to have a good 6 months of expenses saved. I know that sounds a little like, whoa, but it's just a really good practice. Like, please, save money. That is, what was the question? What's the best way to prepare for training? Yeah, save. That's all I got. Go into training with an open mind. Go into training just ready to learn, like willing to learn. Even though I watched every YouTube video there was, I was still like, you know what? I just need y'all to tell me what I need to do, because I'm here and I'm just ready to get through it. So let's do this. Question 19, should I quit my job once I get my CJO? No, sis. Don't quit your job. Do not quit your job. Do not give your job a 2 weeks notice until you get your training date. I'm getting thirsty. Hold on, I need some water. Okay, question 20 is, what is F2F, VI, CJO? So F2F is face-to-face interview. VI is video interview. CJO is conditional job offer. And a conditional job offer is, I'm offering you the job, but there's conditions in order for you to actually become what I'm hiring you for. So you have to pass, in this case, you have to pass training to actually become a flight attendant. That's why it's conditional. Question 21. Hardest part about training. I get this question quite a bit, and I don't think that there is a hard part about training. Training for something new is exciting. It can be a little challenging, but when it comes to becoming a flight attendant, the most challenging part of training is the quantity of information that you are receiving in such a short period of time. You're literally learning so much. Like, it's something different every single day. And I'm a fast learner, but I can only be a fast learner if I'm like paying attention and writing notes. Like, I'm a huge note taker. So there's no way that I could sit in the class and retain everything if I'm just sitting there and listening. That's not how I learn. Some people can do that, but as long as I've got my pen and my paper, like, I'm good. So yeah, that was probably the most challenging thing, just making sure that I was keeping up with the lectures and the activities and taking notes, so that way I could go home and review them. And I was good. Like, that was cool. I probably have the most notes ever taken in flight attendant training. My instructor had us make copies of my notes because, like, they are pretty bomb. Just saying. Like, if you're in my class and you're watching this video, you already know. I still got my notebook too, you know, if anybody needs a refresh for CQ. I'm so silly. Why am I like this? Okay, it's just overwhelming, just to put it out there. Like, it's just really overwhelming because it's so much information. Something else that I wouldn't say was hard or challenging, but that irritated the crap out of me is some people. I mean, you're in a classroom setting, and like, if you haven't been in a class setting in a long time, it's kind of just like, why are y'all asking these questions? Like, can we move on? You know what I mean? Yeah, a lot of people come like directly out of college, so they haven't had a real job per se. And then you have people that are like, could be your mother in the class, and then they haven't been in school in decades. Everyone has their own style of learning, you know, and you just have to really adjust and be patient, because I'm the type of person that I just want you to, like, just give me all the information And if I just didn't take that down in my notes, I'm just gonna ask you like, what did you just say? I'm gonna get that and then we can move on. Like, I'm not really trying to retain, I'm honestly not even trying to retain the information as I'm taking the notes, because I can't. I gotta go home. I need to be in my own setting and have like a glass of wine or, you know, big bottle of water or some tea and like go over these notes, where a lot of people want to retain the information as they're getting it. So just being able to be patient and adjust to different styles of learning, I think that's important, because that irritated me. Like, that's the one reason I wouldn't want to go back to training, because I'm just like, ooh. Okay, but I hope you guys enjoyed this part 1. Be sure to check out part 2, because I'm gonna talk all about pay, benefits, scheduling, commuting, and answer all of your random questions that are real kind of juicy. Like, part 2 is gonna be fun. I feel like, I mean, I'm always fun, but I hope that part 1, talking about the application and the interview training, was informative for you all. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments. Also, DM me. So after I upload this video, for a week, for the next week, I'm going to answer every question that you all have in my DMs. Hold me to that. You know, call me out on Instagram in your story or post or whatever and say, Chanel ain't answered my question yet. Like, what's up with her? She a liar. Yeah, call me out, because I'm gonna answer every single question within the first week of me posting this video that y'all have. However, after the application's open for my airline, I'm gonna ask if you applied. Don't ask me no more questions if you ain't applied, okay? Okay, so part 2. I feel like this is the weirdest transition in America.